Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Juliana, and I want to lecture about logical problem for language learning. How is it possible for children to achieve the final stage of L1 development with general ease and complete success, given the complexity of the linguistic system which they acquire and their immediate cognitive capacity at they do so. The question from the logical problem of language learning, the problem as it has been formulated by linguistic relate most important to synthetic phenomena. Next, number two, constraints and principle cannot be learned. Children access to general constraints and principle which govern language could account for the relative short time it takes for the L1 grammar to emerge, and for the fact that is does so systematically and without any with the barren chance. And then Leckett of 1997 approached this capacity in children as a product of language acquisition. If general purpose intelligence were sufficient to extract the principle of mental grammar, linguistic or psychologists or computer scientists, at last some of whom have more than acquired general intelligence would have discovered the principle long ago. The fact that we are all still searching and arguing, while either normative manage to extract the principle, unit suggests that the normative is using something or the general purpose intelligence. And next, number three, universal pattern of development cannot be explained by language-specific input. Linguistic input always consists of the sound, word, phrases, and sentence, and the other surface level unit of specific human language. However, in spite of the surface difference in input, to define that people who are speaking different language cannot understand on another. There are similar patterns in child acquisition of any language in the world. The extent of this similarity suggests that language universal are not only construct derived from sophisticated theories and analysis by linguistics, but also innate representation in either both child me. And I think that's all from me. And wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Devan Afrian. So today in this video I'm going to explain about the framework of second language acquisition. So study of SLA can be categorized as primarily based on linguistic, psychological, and social framework. We should keep in mind that there are extensive relationships among them. The first is linguistic. There have been plural of focus for the study of SLA from linguistic perspective since 1916, external and internal and external, Then internal focus in the first linguistic framework will with an internal focus in transformational generative grammar. Chomsky, the apparent of this work, revolutionized linguistic theory and had a profound effect of the study of both the first and second languages. This framework was followed by the principle and parameters models and the minimalist program, also formulated by Chomsky. And then the external focus, the most important linguistic framework contributing to an external focus on SLA are categorized with functionalism. Approaches based on functional framework have dominated European study of SLA and are widely followed elsewhere in the world. And then the next is the psychological framework. There are three foresee in the study of SLA from a psychological perspective. The first language is and the brain, and then learning process and learner differences. The first is languages in the brain. The location and representation of language in the brain has been interest to biologists and psychologists since the 19th century. Lanneberg in 1967 generated great interest when he argued that there is a critical period for language acquisition which has neurological basis, and much related research on SLA is essential, grounded in this framework. And then the learning process. The focus on learning process has been heavily influenced by computer-based information processing model of learning. Processability is a more recently developed framework which extends IP concept of learning and applies them to teaching second languages. Connection is another cognitive framework for the focus on learning process. And last, the learner differences. The focus of learner differences in SLA has been most concerned with the question of why some learners are more successful than others. It arises in part from the humanistic framework within psychology, which has a long history in discipline, but has significantly influenced second language teaching and SLA. For the last is in the social framework. There are two forces for the study of SLF from this perspective: microsocial and macrosocial. The first is microsocial focus. The concern within the microsocial focus relate to language acquisition and use in immediate social context of production, interpretation, and interaction. The framework provided by variation theory and accommodation theory. And the last, macrosocial focus. The concern of the macrosocial focus relate language acquisition and used to a broader ecological context, including cultural, political, and educational setting. The ethnography of communication framework extends the notion of what being acquired in SLA. The framework provided by acculturation theory and social psychology offer a broader understanding of how such a factor as identify, status, and value affect the outcomes of SLA. I think that's all from me for the framework of SLA. And thank you for watching. Thank you.